Right. Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock on Wednesday, the 18th of June. Welcome to Ealing Planning Committee. Firstly, can I make sure that everyone's phone is on silent, please? Right. Okay. Thank you. Let's go through the agenda. So first on the agenda is apologies for absence and substitutions. We have a substitution for sorry, Councillor Summers, a substitute for Councillor Sahuta. It's not right.
Sorry,
That's not right.
the minutes. This is the detail.
Sorry. Right. Let me go through this. So, right. Everyone's here that should be here, apart from Councillor Khan, who's apologies for this evening. Right, and I need to insert this into the minutes tonight. Apparently, I've got to do this formally. So, the election of the chair should be noted as from the annual council on 13th of May. Is that noted? And the appointment of vice chair also at the annual council 13th of May. Is that noted? Thank you. Let's move on. Formal business out the way. So any urgent matters? I'm unaware of any. No, we haven't got any. Any declarations of interest? Nope. Looking around the room. Matters to be considered in private. I'm not aware of any, and I'm not seeing any indications. So I'll move on. Minutes of the last meeting.
Sorry.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, okay. Minutes of the last meeting to approve the correct record of minutes held on the 23rd of April. Agreed. Thank you. Site visit attendance. There wasn't a site visit for these applications. There's nothing to see really in terms of what's in front of us tonight. So we didn't have a site visit. So we are going straight into the agenda. So the first one on the agenda tonight, and this is a deed of variation change. So we're not discussing the whole merits of the planning application again. Of 442 Hastings Road and 5054 Drayton Green Road, W13. Alex, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And yeah, just to introduce the item, item number 1 in relation to Hastings Road and Drayton Green is a deed of variation. This is a change to the agreed Section 106 agreement, which was dated in November 24. So the original permission, just as a reminder to members, is for a mixed-use redevelopment of a site to provide a purpose-built student accommodation scheme, and within that scheme, the scheme secured on-site affordable bed spaces within the development. So the change that's being presented to you tonight for your approval is an alteration to the secured on-site affordable student accommodation, which was for 144 bed spaces, which was equivalent to 35% on-site provision, and to replace that for an off-site contribution that would be put towards affordable housing, not student accommodation. The council has considered the proposal and also looked at the financial information to accompany the amount of money being proposed. We've had it independently tested, and it has been confirmed that the amount would be the appropriate amount to be equivalent for the original on-site provision. So the deed of variation is a mechanism that there is a mechanism within the planning legislation which allows us to entertain these changes, which is what we're doing. And in terms of the overall assessment, we think on balance, taken as a whole, the scheme taken as a whole would continue to outweigh any harm, and we've set that out in the recommendation report just so that there's no we're not securing any additional impacts as a consequence of this proposed change. So that's essentially it in brief. It's to secure an amount of money to relinquish the requirement to secure the on-site in the deed of variation, in the existing legal agreement. And if the recommendation is accepted tonight, that deed of variation has been drafted and would be signed quite imminently. And in terms of the delivery of the scheme, we understand from the applicants that good progress is being made. As you're aware from other schemes, there's quite a lengthy process for schemes, developers to go through in terms of Gateway 2 and fire regulations. So good planning is timetabling is occurring on that, and we anticipate that the development would be open in 2 years' time with a good wind. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Right, I'm going to open it up to questions and just confine it to questions, and then we'll open it up for debate following a round of questions. And as normal, I'd like you to get all your questions out at once, and then rather than keep going back over questions. So unless there's an absolute burning question. But so I've had indications from Councillor Summers, Councillor Gordon, Councillor Oxley. Right, Councillor Summers, go ahead.
Yeah, just two questions. One is the last time we were at the site, there was there's the shops at the front, and there was 2 of them I think were refusing to sell, and they would remain there. Is there any sort of progress on trying to buy them out, or any or is that likely to change during the if we gave permission for this tonight, or is it just the plan as last time that we go ahead, and if they can buy them out, it would just be a sort of flattened space? I think I was talking about. They wouldn't come back and change the application again if they bought them out. And the other question was about the £8 million. Just trying to clarify, does the council receive that sort of immediately on us giving permission tonight, or is it something that comes, if you say that the development is set to be built within 2 years, that's good. I was just wondering if they don't do anything for 3 years, the inflation, whatever, 8 million could be quite a different figure. So I just wondered a bit of clarification on that.
I'll take Councillor Oxley's questions or question or questions first, and come back. Alex can come back.
Oh, is that on?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I understand it, we're trading, use that expression, 144 affordable apartments or rooms that were in the original development for £8 million worth of homes. I guess I was interested in if we have an estimate of how many affordable homes we'll get as a result of the 8 million, to just get a better sense of what we're giving up and what we're gaining. And I guess the other question was, if I've understood what I think it's the FVA it's called, is trying to do, is make sure that the developer doesn't gain out of this variation. That being the case, why did they engage in the processes with this? Why did they hire a consultant? I think they hired DS2. How does that get factored into believing that they're not gaining out of this?
I'll take Councillor Conti's question as well, please.
Thank you. It was just with the 8 million, could that be spent anywhere in the borough, or is any geographical restrictions in terms of the proximity to the site where that could be spent for affordable accommodation?
Okay, Alex.
Okay.
Okay with those?
Okay, so Councillor Summers, your question in relation to any progress on the development site and the shop acquisitions. There's nothing reported back at this moment in time, and you're right that the purpose of obviously acquiring those shops is obviously to to establish the public realm to the front of the site. So there's a day one situation, and in the event that those shops are acquired, then something can happen, but that would be subject to a further planning application because it's technically outside of the red line. So and we'll obviously update you on that in due course. So in terms of when the money is likely to be received, the way the legal agreement for any contributions has been structured for the main permission is usually on the first trigger would be on occupation. Sometimes it can be later. So based on the timescales for construction and being open to match with the academic year, we're anticipating 2 years until the money and the money will arrive then. In this particular case, we are looking at indexation. We've proposed in the deed of variation that the indexation will kick in if the money hasn't been paid within 2 years of the date of the deed of variation. So that's to incentivise getting them on site. So that's the first thing. That's in the briefing notes as well. I don't really have an estimate on that because it will be dependent on what the money would be spent on, what type of affordable housing and what other arrangements are in place. So, but it is a considerable amount of money which could do quite a bit, and it is focused. It's focused to be spent on securing low cost affordable housing. So the London affordable rent or the social rent. And then a recent example to put in context is that the housing department have acquired a block in a private development to switch from market to private. So they were able to do that with a range of monies. And if there are opportunities to use secured offsite contributions from affordable housing, those are the sorts of things that it would be put towards. So in terms of the consultants, so we do have to be very careful. There's quite clear guidance in London Plan around what needs to be set out, and we obviously don't want the applicants to be profiting from this proposal. It was actually the council who specifically asked to see the viability information from the applicant side, which is fairly normal practice in these sorts of discussions. And likewise, the council would then appoint their own independent consultant to scrutinise that information, and that's happened as part of that process. So we think that that's absolutely fine. The amount is correct. And then, would it be spent in the locality? Yes, it would be. It would be set out in the legal agreement that it would be set out. Sorry, it would be spent in the locality or the borough area. So something along those lines.
So, are you okay with the question?
I think so. I'm still curious, just from why a developer would enter into this process. It must have time and effort to do this.
I mean, that I can't answer why they would want to do that, but the point is that there's no gain from this process. So it's as far as we're concerned, there's no difference in the there's no difference to them financially, whether it's provided on site for students or a contribution to be paid towards affordable housing. It makes no difference in the sums.
Use the mic.
One from presumably though, for that to be right, and I'm sure you are right, they would have deducted their consulting costs from the 8 million. The 8 million they're giving us is sort of a net figure after the costs of engaging in the process.
Yeah,
Just
I can answer that. I mean, the 8 million was hasn't changed throughout the process, and as I mentioned, the council specifically asked for the detailed viability to be put forward by their consultants, who happen to be DS2. So if that had been the case, then it would have it has made no impact on the sum of money that's been calculated in this process.
Councillor Padder.
Thank you, Chair. It's only just a clarification. We talk about indexation. Is this indexation based on inflation or bank rates? Because on a bank rate, it can be much higher than
Yeah, okay.
It's based on inflation.
Sorry. Okay. Foul of my own rule there to keep your mic on because no one can hear if they are watching at home. So, okay, I don't see any more indication for questions, so I'm going to go into debate, and I'm just looking to see if anyone's got. Councillor Gordon.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I was at the planning committee when this came through. It was in November, and spoke against the application. And one of the core things I spoke against, was unhappy, was the affordable room layout. And I didn't buy into the 144 rooms. I didn't buy into the 35%, and I didn't see how it was serving students or residents of the borough. So I'm absolutely delighted that this is coming forward, because I think the £8 million will go to a number of homes to be determined for our residents to work on our homelessness crisis, to work on our the long waiting lists. So this is actually going to benefit residents of the borough, hopefully in West Ealing, but it could be anywhere in the borough, whereas the previous iteration certainly didn't. So that's great, good news. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gordon. Councillor Summers.
Yeah, I echo Councillor Gordon to a large degree, and I just point out that £8 million could build a lot of affordable housing in my ward, Northolt Mandeville. So I take Councillor Oxley's point about is it the right amount of money for that site right next to a Crossrail station in Ealing, West Ealing, is a very valuable site. But the sums have been worked out, the money has been assessed, and I think it could be put to much better use elsewhere, hopefully in Northolt, but somewhere else in the borough.
Okay, let's not spend the pitching where it should be spent for the next 20 minutes. And I think that Alex has indicated that the money is exactly the same from before to what it is now, which is the answer to Councillor Oxley's question. So any more indications? Councillor Shaw, Councillor Martin.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just very briefly, just to sort of welcome this, thank the officers for their work on it. I know that this will have taken quite some time and a lot of effort. And in agreement with Councillor Gordon and Councillor Summers over there, I actually think this is a very good deal for the authority, and that this money can go to very good use to help with the chronic shortage of housing that we know there is in the borough.
Thank you, Councillor Shaw. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I would agree with my fellow councillors that I think the change to affordable housing is a much better use of the money. I know it's in the London plan to ask for affordable student accommodation, but I'm still not convinced as a product that it works for the university sector, or even if there's if the demand works that way. Because if you're a low-income student, you'd apply for a bursary. I'm not sure how this would fit in with it anyway, or if the numbers would work, because you've ended up with a fixed amount of student accommodation. So I think it's a bit of a muddle. I'd love us to try and find that out if we can, because there's another one coming up in a minute, and it may be that another one of the reasons why they're changing this is because it doesn't really work. But on the basis of what we're doing, I think it's where we should be.
Right, I'm not seeing any other indications, nor am I seeing anyone having a contrary view to what's already been spoken. So I'm going to go to the vote if that's the wish of the committee. Okay, right. Let's all indicate that in favour of the application, please. Keep your hands up a minute. All right. Just to be clear, any against? Any abstentions? Okay, just to say that was passed unanimously. Thank you. Right, I'm going to move on swiftly to 1319 the Green, Southall Norwood Green. Bearing in mind this is a very similar application, we don't need to say the same thing twice. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, the second item is for 13 to 19 the Green, Southall. Again, it is a deed of variation. It's the same developers for the item number 1. So this consent was granted in March of this year, and again was for a student accommodation block in Southall. So in a similar way, so the original permission secured 148 bed spaces as affordable workspace out of the 424. The deed of variation, as for the previous item, is to replace the on-site affordable housing with an off-site contribution towards traditional affordable housing. The proposed payment, which has been independently tested, amounts to £7 million, which would be secured towards low-cost affordable housing. Again, it's been assessed by the council, by their assessors BPS, and again taken as a whole, the development benefits outweigh the harm. So the recommendation is to request your permission to agree the deed of variation to the original section 106.
Okay, and just to be clear that the money hasn't changed.
That's right. The money,
Yep.
again, the initial proposal was 7 million. It hasn't changed as a consequence of the independent review.
Okay. Right, I'm going to open it to questions. Councillor Martin.
Just for clarification, because I think on the first page in the bold it says 144, and then later on it says 148. It's the 148, is it?
Yes, there was a correction, and it's referenced in the briefing notes. So the correct overall amount is 148. They're just very similar between the two items. So yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other indications of questions. So I'm going to throw it open to debate. And I'm not seeing any indications of debate, and I'm presuming that's because it's very similar to the application before. So being practical here, so I'm going to go straight to the vote if that's okay with the committee. Okay, so all those in favour, please show. Just to be clear, all those against? Any abstentions? You may wonder why I do this, but we have had some confusion before, several years ago, but we have had that. Okay. Thank you. Right, we're moving on to item 11, which is 6 Portal Way, slightly different. Who's introducing this?
Jane will
Jane.
introduce it.
Oh, sorry. Hello, Jane. Sorry. It's your first time at planning committee. Welcome. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. So the items, same type of application as you heard before with item 1 and 2. So it is a deed of variation again, but slightly different development type. So the site is at 6 Portal Way, Acton, and application is to modify the section 106. Just in terms of the site location, it is within the North Acton ward, and it is within the administrative boundary of the Old Oak and Park Royal Development Corporation. So the application, so the council had purchased Block B, which you can see on the slide, which is the red brick. That was secured through the planning permission for 31 units, which were a combination of London affordable rent and London living rent. The council has purchased the block to use it as a temporary accommodation, and this decision was made in the cabinet I think 2022. So currently the building development is all built out and is occupied. So what we need to do, what we need to consider is the technical loss of the affordable rent units and London living rent units that was secured through the full planning permission. So we have had this evaluated through a viability, looking at the valuation of the block, because the discounted market rent is valued more than the affordable rent units. So the conclusion is that the equivalent amount of the housing that's been lost but replaced by DMR is proposed to be secured, and that amount is £2.389 million. It will be payment in lieu, and it's to be secured to be through the deed of variation. And essentially what the development will result in that Block B tenure will change to discount market rent. And so the recommendation is to approve the tenure change and secure the details of payment in lieu for the affordable housing through the deed of variation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm opening up for questions. Councillor Oxley, you are substituting for Councillor Ball because he's always first as well.
Is it?
It's all right, don't worry.
Yeah, this was took me a while to get around what it represented, this amount of money. But I just want to understand the maths of how you got to it, or how it gets arrived at, because I assume when the valuation was done by the council to do the initial purchase, it reflected the change in variation. Is that right? So it was a more expensive purchase because they were going to be at a discounted rent rather than the affordable rent. Is that the reason? And therefore, what's left? I mean, in other words, if the council had bought it and maintained their affordable rented stuff within the block, they would have paid 2.389 million less. Is that how it works?
Hold that thought, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone else indicating? Got some feedback here. So.
Oh, sorry.
Anyone else? No. Okay, Jay. Sorry.
I mean, that is the main issue.
Yeah.
So basically, the valuation of the block would have been based on the secured tenure, which would have been London living rent as well as London affordable rent, a mixture of that, and 31 units within. The discounted market rents, however, are valued higher. So therefore, we had looked at the valuation of the 31 units being discounted market rent, which is a higher value, and then you take away the valuation of the existing block as consented, and what remains is £2.389 million. So had the council purchased it and used it as what was secured, there would have been no payment that would have been required because. Yep.
Okay, the committee understood. Right. No more questions, no indications for questions. I'm moving on to debate. I see no indications to debate, so I'm going to move it on swiftly to the vote. All those in favour, please show. Right, thank you. All those against? Any abstentions? Right, thank you. That application has been approved, sorry. Okay. That brings to end this evening's committee. I don't know, there is nothing else on the committee papers. So that was 3 applications done. Thank you very much, committee. The next one is in July is it? Sorry? Right, okay, I won't say when it is, but it's in July. Okay. Yeah, I think it's 20th as well. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. You've got some of your evening back. Thank you.